In a darkened palace in Vienna, a gloved hand closes around a star of diamonds. In its place, he sets down a fake, bought that very same day in the gift shop downstairs. By the time anyone realizes the real one is gone, he will be on another continent. This is the story of the most ingenious thief the world never knew it had. His name was Gerald Blanchard. He was not a brute. He never carried a weapon. He never hurt a soul. He was something far more dangerous. He was patient and he was brilliant. He grew up in Canada, stealing small things and slowly discovering he had a gift. He could look at any lock, any alarm, any security system, and see the one flaw everyone else had missed. While other criminals used force, Blanchard used his mind. He studied his targets for months. He built his own gadgets. He rehearsed every single move. To him, stealing was not a crime. It was a craft. It began, as the story is told, with an ordinary tourist visiting a palace in Vienna. Schönbrunn Palace, the summer home of the emperors of Austria. Among its treasures sat a small, breathtaking star of diamonds and pearls. It had once belonged to Empress Elizabeth, the legendary Sisi. To the world, it was priceless. To Blanchard, it was simply a puzzle. He joined a guided tour, smiling, blending in with the crowd. But while everyone else admired the star, Blanchard studied everything around it. The case, the wiring, the cameras, the single motion sensor. And in that quiet moment, he saw exactly how to take it. First, he walked down to the gift shop and bought a cheap replica of the very star he wanted. A souvenir, a toy, a few euros. Then he waited for the palace to close. As the story goes, he slipped past the sensors and lowered himself to the case in the dark. He opened it, lifted out the real star, and set the gift shop fake gently in its place. To a passing guard, nothing had changed at all. The diamonds still glittered behind the glass. They were just no longer real. Blanchard walked out of the palace with an empress's treasure resting in his pocket. And for a long, long time, nobody noticed a thing. The star was only the beginning. Blanchard built a criminal operation that stretched across continents. He robbed banks, not by breaking in, but by outsmarting them completely. He studied their security until he understood it better than the people who had built it. He intercepted alarm signals. He cloned access cards. He walked through doors that were supposed to be sealed. As it was reported, he even used a helicopter to scout his targets from the sky. He once entered a bank through the roof, defeating every layer of security on the way down. He moved money, jewels, and information across borders with terrifying ease. He gathered a small, loyal crew and ran them like a business. To the banks, the losses were a mystery. The money simply vanished. To Blanchard, it was almost too easy. He had become a ghost, everywhere and nowhere. But the more he stole, the bolder he became. And the bolder a ghost grows, the more noise it leaves behind. Across the ocean in Winnipeg, the police had been chasing a pattern. Crimes too clean, too clever to be the work of just anyone. They launched a long, secret investigation and called it Project Kayak. They could not catch him in the act, so they did something far more patient. They listened. For months, investigators tapped phones and quietly tracked his crew. Slowly, the ghost began to take shape on their recordings. They heard the plans. They heard the pride. They heard more than enough. And one day, the most ingenious thief in the world was finally arrested. But Blanchard, true to form, had one move left. He cooperated and led them to the treasures, including the Sisi Star. The Empress's jewel was returned to Austria, where it remains to this day. And because he had used his mind instead of violence, his sentence was remarkably light. Gerald Blanchard had stolen a fortune, fooled a palace, and outwitted the banks of 2 continents. Not with a gun, not with force, but with patience and a replica from a gift shop. The greatest thief you have never heard of. He stole an empress's star and left a souvenir in its place. That is crooked genius.